Hello, 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 and welcome to the show. I told you we'd be back. And, as we are back after a while, I forgot to load up my intro. So here it is, y'all. Thanks for tuning in again.
Hi, this is Mike Ross, public address announcer for your Toronto Maple Leafs, and this is the Leafs Late Night Podcast, your post-game destination. And now, your starting lineup: Roscoe, the Fanalist, Southey, Biehner, and Darty Brodeur on the Leafs Late Night Podcast.
Bum, 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 bum. See, I put all this work into a new intro, and I haven't gotten to use it much. Here we are again. Thank you to anybody who tuned in to our last episode. It was a fun one. We had Southey here and Mr. Biehner, who's back with me tonight. Fortunately, everybody else is busy, as has been the story of the year. When I went to upload our show, it said it was like episode 7, and our last one was in February, and I felt really bad. So I appreciate the people that reached out. Mike the Fanatic reaching out after the show with a shout out. Thanks everybody for picking us back up. I know we probably don't deserve it, but we're gonna try and win you back. I promise. So with that, Game 2 of the Battle of Ontario ends in a dramatic fashion, but it started in an equally dramatic fashion. So almost a carbon copy of last episode. We had the Leafs scoring 2 goals on 4 shots, and the Sens coming out with like over 10 shots on goal and getting nothing out of it. How did you feel about how this started?
Well, I had to watch it on replay because I was actually out doing some of my driver's training for the fire department when the game started. But it just goes to show the difference when, and I mean, no offense to Sheldon Keefe whatsoever, but the difference when you have a very experienced coach. Like, he has these guys dialed in to not overreact, not to, I don't know if overreact is the right word, not to get too caught up in if something's not going their way. Because in the past, if the Leafs are getting outshot, you'd see they'd start trying a little harder, maybe doing a play that they shouldn't be doing just to try to get that extra shot or extra offensive chance. And at this point, they're just, okay, you want to outshoot us? Fine, that's fine. We'll keep most of the shots to the outside, and we're going to get our chances, and we're going to capitalize on them.
Yeah, it really looks like it comes down to a difference in coaching. Like you said, like it's Berube telling the guys, if you find yourself in a position where it's shoot or maybe take that extra second to think and do something else with it, they're all making that decision to make the pass or turn around and reset or whatever it is. Whereas Ottawa's play every single time when they run out of room or whatever is going on, the play's falling apart, they throw it on net and hope for a rebound, which is a different play. There's nothing wrong with that. It's how some teams operate, but it's just funny watching it. I mean, like, we haven't had a series against Ottawa in 20 years, 21. So, the 3 games a year, I always point out the Sens have way more shots, but now seeing it back to back, it's like you kind of get a microscope on it. And it's like a yin and yang of play styles. It's really fun to watch.
Well, and as odd as it is to say, it almost comes down to that experience thing, right? Like early on in the Matthews era, you had Matthews and Marner and Brown and Hyman and Van Riemsdyk just shooting from everywhere. And we would outshoot teams sometimes 30-10 and still have nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
So the guys they're being more efficient with their energy, not only in taking the shots, but just everything they do. And they're really, like, I can't stress it enough, they're really, really playing as a team. Like Nylander getting in it and throwing the body, and Matthews and Nylander both playing super well defensively, like back behind the net, retrieving pucks, almost as if they're a defenseman.
Yeah, and speaking of defensemen, I got to really start this off with giving a huge shout out to Morgan Rielly. 3 goals now from the defenseman in the first 2 games. I mean, I don't think we got 3 goals from defense over any 2-game period this season or over the last 4 seasons. Like, this is unheard of from this team.
Yeah, and as much as we might have all ripped on Rielly, I'm sure if we did more episodes, we would have been ripping on him a lot more this season.
Yeah, there was some text back and forth between me and my dad during these games of like, why is he standing in front of the goalie all the time, doing nothing but screening him? Like, ugh.
But it does just go to show, like, he was having one of those years where
For sure.
everything went wrong for him. He didn't give up. He didn't sulk. He didn't, complain that, oh, I've lost power play time or I've lost, the number 1 minutes. He just kept showing up and kept doing his job. And hockey karma comes back. Like that first goal, that went off his skate. Any other season, that would have been blown off as a kicking motion or, goes off his skate and goes into the corner, not into the net. But he's been just, the hockey gods were in our favor. He's been buckling down and just, steady on.
Yeah, and it just goes to show, like we were saying last episode, with having Carlo there, it gives him the ability to be in the position where he was, like right up in front of the net like that. I mean, it's not like early season Riley where he was trying to draw that line between, okay, well, they're asking me to play defensively, so I got to kind of pull back and fit in with the system, yada yada yada. Now we're here, and he's getting back to Riley status, and I'm glad to see it.
Well, look at when was the best hockey we've ever seen Riley play? When they faced Tampa.
I was going to say playoffs like 2 years ago.
Yep. When they eliminated Tampa in that first round. And who was out front of the net for that goal?
Morgan.
Exactly. He was flying all over the ice. He was the guy that we all dreamed of him being in that playoff series. And if he can get back to even a minor clone of that, or like even just a piece of that would be amazing for the team.
Yeah, and I mean, look, there's not as much pressure on him even to perform offensively like that. There's OEL now. You've got, I guess that's it. But the fact that
Benny, look at the rush by Benny.
I'm saving that for the end. We're gonna Benoit. We gotta talk. We gotta talk like a ton about this kid. My new favorite defenseman on the team. Yeah, on the hockey gods thing, I think that's what feels the most different this year, regardless of who we're playing. Like, it doesn't feel like there's phantom calls and, everything that happens, we're screaming like, why is that not this? I mean, we'll get to a couple this game that were a little annoying, but nothing to the level of the last few seasons where, goals are getting recalled or things that were offside blatantly are, deemed not for some reason, or, oh, that would be goaltender interference because it literally was in another game the same night, but isn't for us. Like, somehow this year, knock on wood again, it's only game 2 of round 1, but like, it seems as though that curse isn't floating around referee wise. Now, I know Sens fans have been complaining about how the calls are not going their way, but tonight was pretty even. The Leafs took a couple. Robertson had a pretty boneheaded one, letting his stick hang out there. But all in all, it seems like there's no craziness. Like, we'll see once Wes McCauley joins the game, but for now, we're cool.
And yet again, in both games, I haven't really seen many penalty calls at all that you can really legitimately question. Like, take your Sens glasses off, take your Leafs glasses off. If you look at it from as best you can from a neutral standpoint, they've been legitimate calls. I've been a little surprised that, during the regular season, interference gets called a lot more. If you chip the puck in just over the blue line and then you go to skate in, the defenseman kind of holds you up. During the season, that would get called a little more. So I've actually been kind of surprised how much they're letting the players get away with in that sense, but it's on both sides. It's not like it's just Ottawa doing it. They're both doing it. They're both getting away with it. Fine. It's a wash, right?
Yeah, I've seen some people, taking that extra couple seconds, holding somebody down on the ice, couple holding of the sticks that, like you said, in the regular season, that's getting called. But it seems like high sticking, cross-checking, boarding, tripping, that's all going to get called so far in the first round.
Which, you know what? That's the dangerous stuff. That's the stuff you want to call.
Yeah, exactly. Like, holding of the stick is, unless it's blatant in front of the ref affecting, like, in front of the net affecting a goal. But, like, come on, if it's at center ice, they're like, pull harder. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got to talk about, also before we move on, sorry, the fact that both goals, as they happened in the first period there, I was like, oh, is that a kick? No, we're not even going to question if this is a kick. Oh, we're just going to a face-off. Fantastic. Like, any of the last 5 years, that's getting reviewed. Whether it gets called back or not, they're at least checking.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was actually kind of odd that they didn't. Well, clearly the War Room would have, but that they didn't check it in game. And then shout out again to JT. Like, I called it when we were talking at the beginning of the season. It's going to be a revenge year. He's just going to be on fire. Now, I thought he was probably going to try to push for 50 goals again, so I was a little bit off there.
But I mean, he was a point a game, they said, through the stretch after the Four Nations when he was injured. So
yeah, he's been great.
Jinx. But about the kick thing, I think it just goes to show that they are getting a little more consistent with what is a kick and what is just a deflection off of your skate. Because the whole point of the rule in the first place was people's skates coming off the ice in a literal kicking motion that would be dangerous. But like, if you're coming in towards the net and your stick and your skates are all in the exact same line and it hits your skate instead, like, that's not a kicking motion.
No, it's not.
So I'm glad, like, the last couple of years, that's been pretty ambiguous between all the refs. Like, game to game, that could have been or wouldn't be. But at least for now, it seems like they've gotten some consistency going, and I got to applaud them for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been good so far.
So I got to give another piece of credit where credit's due. Mr. Kelly Rudy, who had some really interesting comments tonight, did point out I think that when they were counting the time between the shots with Stolarz, oh no, that was McLean. There was another thing with Rudy. It might come back to me, but anyway, on this point, they said it was 52 minutes between when Stolarz faced the last shot to the one that went in. It was like 16 and a half minutes of game time, but as far as like literal time passed between like when the Sens had last got a shot on net and then the one that went in, it was 52 minutes. So you as a goalie, how are you going to feel? Like how warmed up are you going to be at that point to get that one? Well, I think about what point I was going to make about Rudy. So
looking at Stoli, the way he plays, I'm not trying to compare myself to him at all, but he's very active in the crease. So there was a couple times where when my buddies and I put teams together, we were pretty damn, like, we were dominant. And it was not because of my goaltending. It was because we had a stacked team and we should have been in a higher division. So if it got to that point where I wasn't facing shots at all, I would literally come out of the net every single chance I get to get my stick active, to get on it, shoot a pass out like we see Stoli doing all the time, or just move around. Like if it's ball hockey, I'm out of the crease all the time. If it's ice hockey, I'm skating to the corner at every face-off, just keeping my muscles moving, that we're not just standing there. And then something I've always done is and I'm a psycho, I count every single shot I face.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah. So if I've faced 4 shots and it's halfway through the second, I'm kicking myself in the ass in my head. You cannot let this next one in, like, you piece of shit. If you let, your 6th shot in on, or your first goal in on 6 shots, like, that's terrible percentage. Like, you got to save this.
Yeah. See, this is why I don't blame him too much for that one going in. Like, it just snuck out of nowhere through so many people there, and shit.
Well, and it was a deflection too.
Yeah. Exactly. Anyway, as much as I wanted to, I really need to write things down. This is a lesson I'm kicking myself. I wanted to give some credit where credit's due to Kelly Rudy, but I can only remember the thing that I was annoyed with him talking about. So I'm going to say that instead. Sorry. Did you listen to any of the between period panels?
I try not to listen to a lot of it because most of the time it's just absolutely terrible.
So he was talking about how I think it was the second. Was the second one? No, it was the first. The one we were just talking about, the deflection. Was that the first or the second Sens goal?
That would.
It was the first.
That was the second.
Okay, so the first one
was Kachuk backhanding it out front and it went off Carlo and in.
Right. So that's what the one he was talking about. So he's saying how the Leafs have been playing the system pretty well, where they've had a defenseman covering the back half of the net, while the goal, Stolarz, has been playing the front half of the net. But it just backfired on them. And he's talking about how you got to trust your defenseman, and the way that he prefaced it was so I was playing a game in the AHL, and okay, so just for context, I hurt myself, and so the team had me on a conditioning stint, so I played half a game down there. It's he has to like apologize and like put in context to make it sound like it's not some embarrassing thing. It's like, dude, everyone has stints like that. Like, you don't have to. Nobody cares. No one's judging you.
I did hear that, and then BXO was ripping on him like, "Oh, well, did you hurt yourself by going out, skating out, and destroying the ice to get an extra delay?"
Yeah. And last thing, the at the end of the game, Frege, thankfully, like they've been so. I know they're trying not to be on one side or the other, but it also seems like they're trying not to piss off the Sens fans because it's their first time here in a while. But it's like the Leaf fans have suffered through this, okay? Like, give us something, please. So at the end of the game, they're like, Sens have a lot to be happy with here. Like, there's some things they could take it. And Frege is like, as much as you could say, like, there's things to take away, and I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but he's like, you still have to win eventually. It's like, yes, thank you. They are now down 2-0, and they're still talking about how, there's some good things here with the Sens. Like, how about we talk about the good things that the Leafs did at the end of the game when they win? Oh my God.
Well, I vaguely remember there was actually some optimism with the Leafs regarding like Sportsnet and TSN back when it was the Leafs versus Washington when they first made the playoffs with this regime. Like, it wasn't the typical doom and gloom, the Leafs can't do anything right, Boston's just a powerhouse, or Tampa's a powerhouse, or Florida's a powerhouse, the Leafs aren't going to win. There was actually some optimism, like, holy hell, the Capitals are a really good team, and the Leafs are actually, giving them a run for the money in this series. It's not going to be a sweep.
Yeah, it feels like when I listen to them, it's like the Sens are playing against Tampa, and they're just talking about how the Sens are the underdog, and, it's like the way that, it's like the reverse way that they talk about the Leafs when they play those teams. Speaking of, they showed a clip of the Florida-Tampa game. It is freaky watching, going from the home Toronto game against Ottawa to a home Tampa game against Florida. They are the same colors.
Mm-hmm.
It was trippy.
Yeah, they have been for a while now.
I know, but just seeing the games like back to back like that, and I don't know, it's kind of funny. Anyway, so we got to talk about how this one ended. Obviously, ends with an overtime winner, big one for Max Domi. But this all starts at the other end with an intercepted pass by Simon Benoit, who takes it all the way down, riding along the boards, and this is like what we're talking about, instead of throwing it on net, looks around, okay, Domi is still with me. It's just the two of us against 4 Sens. I'll throw it to him, and not only that, I'm not going to skate back. I'm not going to go to the bench. I'm going straight to the fucking net. That's how you do it. Take notes, kids. This sixth defenseman on the Leafs just absolutely pulling a masterclass in a 2v4.
Like, that was something my captain from my Sunday night beer league team would do. Just, okay, I'm just going to go end to end, and I'm not even going to bother back checking. Let's go right out front of the net.
Like, if that went badly and it went the other way, and it was those 4 Sens immediately have the puck, like, we're talking about this in a completely different way. But you know what? Sometimes it works, and you look like a hero, and that's what we're doing now. Like, and then credit to Max Domi for that the double windmill there and just ripping it through. Oh my God.
Well, I remember watching him when he was in London, because I watch a lot of London night games, and like, he has offensive upside. Everybody just assumes that since he's a Domi, he's just out there to goon it up, but he does have offensive skill.
Yeah, the name just got scouts looking at him. Like, he's obviously a different player than his dad was. And he's got the fire, but it's almost like he's like a Kachuk light. I wish there was a little more production out of him, but he's got that kind of combo of being a pain in the ass, but also like, don't leave him open somewhere, and he's going to push his way through people to the net. So it's a smaller power forward. But look, he's had a rough year. People were saying he was on the cut list at the trade deadline. Like, they've been moving this guy up and down. I know he wants to stick around forever, but it's moments like this that are going to stick around with fans. Like, the regular season doesn't matter now. All that people are going to remember is that overtime winner in round 1 that put us up for 2-0 for the first time in 20 years. More than 20.
And that's kind of like that's what you need sometimes. You need players aside from your big guys. Now, we've been lucky. Our big guys have actually been playing really well so far this series, considering they're the ones that always get all the flack. But you need someone to step up. Like, it always happens in the playoffs. Someone randomly steps up and they become a household name.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously, Domi was already a household name, whether you watch the Leafs or not. But it really, I think, gets some of the weight off his shoulders coming into next season, even if he's sticking around. What's his contract like? I don't even remember.
Domi, I think he's got one more year at 2.5. I want to say 2.5 or 3 million.
Max Domi. It's funny. I was looking up the next contract I want to talk about. And now I'm like, oh shit, what's Domi's? 4-year, 15. What? He signed for a lot more money than I thought he did. So he's on year 1 of 4. 3.75 per year. So yeah. Hopefully, like I'm saying, I'm gonna continue my point. Hopefully hopefully this adds to a bit of confidence heading into next season, instead of carrying the weight of like I was almost traded and the fans don't think I belong here, even though I really want to stick around here and my dad was a legend. Like that's gonna be a lot of pressure. So
Well, the other thing is, look at who's behind the bench, right? Like, it's not like Berube was a 50 goal, 100-point guy when he was in the NHL. He was a mucker. He was someone who had to battle for every minute of ice time that he had. So he sees someone like Domi. Like, yeah, Domi had an off year. He did not have a good year whatsoever. But you can't say he doesn't try. Every single shift out there, he's given it his all. Even if he makes the stupidest play or has the unluckiest bounce, he's still going. And he's a smaller guy, but he's not afraid to drop him with anybody, which is kind of rare in today's game anymore, because it's typically a goon or a massive guy fighting, right?
Yeah, and I mean, to your point about Berube, it's like that's why he still trusts that line in overtime, even though they've not really been playing that well. It's like, again, he knows. Again, they said this on the broadcast, so I sound like I'm stealing everything, but he knows that these guys still have the potential to do these kinds of magical plays, whether it's been coming to them or not the last 60 minutes. So,
well, and you've seen it all year. It hasn't been Nick Robertson skates in and takes a wicked shot and it misses the net and then he lollygags back. No, he misses the net. He's going to go and nail the guy to get the puck back. Like, they're playing complete games. Doesn't matter who they are.
Yeah,
everybody
McMahon
is,
too,
right?
has just been battling for everything. But the one thing we really gotta break down here is the second and most of the third period, where for some reason every puck battle is going the Sens' way. The Leafs can't get out of their zone. I mean, what happened here? How did the Sens start this game almost exactly the same as last game, and then all of a sudden figure it out like by the second period?
I think it's a little bit of playoff jitters are out of the way / score effect, right? The Leafs are up, so they're not as desperate. And your last game against them, you were up. The Sens kept making mistakes and just doing things that they wouldn't normally do. So, you get chance after chance and you expand on your lead. Well, a lot of those mistakes from the Sens were based on playoff jitters. As much as I dislike the team, they shouldn't have been playing as poorly as they did in the first game.
No, and obviously, like we said, their biggest adjustment has to be discipline. And I mean, they fixed that for the most part tonight. They didn't take a ton of penalties. The Leafs were not as, deadly on the power play. Obviously, they scored one that was still just as insane. What did they say? 4 goals on 38 seconds of power play time? Like, that's nuts. So obviously, they're still going to punish you.
It was about 18 seconds.
I know, right? But so obviously the Leafs are still going to punish you, but it's not. They didn't give them 20 minutes of power play time tonight. So that's obviously going to change the score. So it's about the same as if you take out the power play goals and all that. It's probably about the same score.
Yeah, so I think, like I said, a little bit of the score effect, and the Sens don't want to go back to Ottawa down 2-0. So
Well,
they're
look what
trying
they're
harder.
doing.
They're more desperate, and the Leafs are still just trying to play that slow, methodical, keep going at it, and they maybe got a little complacent.
Yeah, because I mean, as much as I don't mind them playing defensively when they're ahead, I don't love when it turns into the defenseman stuck on the ice for 2 minutes, and the Sens are hammering them for what was it, like 50 seconds straight. Like that's not in your favor, even if you
No.
think you're playing a defensive game. Like I don't know how they're gonna fix that, because that was kind of the problem a lot of this year, is whenever they do go into that we're ahead, it turns into like too much of a turtle game and they stick too close to their net. Like, if you're gonna clog things up, do it in the neutral zone, not in your own zone.
Thankfully, though, we have someone on almost every line who's very, very effective at, whether they're up, whether they're down, they get the puck out, they skate down the ice, and they cause chaos. Like whether it's Nyes or Nylander or Robertson, like someone is constantly trying to move that puck forward, even if everybody else is having a brain fart. Like
Lawrence.
Lawrence Yarncroke has been doing it too. He's been like the Energizer Bunny. You can tell the guy's been off most of the year.
Oh, I can't imagine how much it sucks just sitting watching these games when you're like, I don't know, what was his injury? Was it his leg?
To be completely honest with you,
I don't even remember. So whatever it is, like, to be 80, 85, 90% there and just still watching games, like, oh my God. Like, because I imagine you can do most things in your day-to-day life, but like skating and taking a shot are very different uses of your muscles than like, getting up, going to the grocery store and making dinner. So
Yeah.
man, the life of a hockey player is so hard. Millions of dollars to play hockey. So, Simon Benoit is on year 1 of 3. He's done 26-27 at $1.35 million. This is like one of the best contracts on the team, I think.
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
As Leaf fans, we have a long storied history of glorifying, 6 defensemen and 12 forwards, and
okay, but he's making 1.35. He's not making, like, even Justin Hall was making $2 million a year, 2.2.
Yeah, he should have been gone ages and ages ago.
He's making less than Timothy Liljegren was making, like, and he's more effective than these guys. That's my point, is like, we're finally paying market value or less for somebody who is actually effective as a 6th defenseman, instead of someone who is like hyped up for 3 years and we have them sitting there and we overpaid them and they do fuck all the time. And they make mistakes and they become like the poster child of like, oh, it's this guy. Every year we have that one person. Guess what we didn't have this year? That one person that everyone's blaming for well, it was Riley for a while, but
I was just going to say it was Riley this year.
It was Riley, but like, that's different. That's somebody not performing up to their, like, the bar that they've set for themselves. Not like we've got someone who has yet to even set the bar that, we're implying on them. God.
If you're trying to go best contract on the team, though, I would probably say, no offense to Benny whatsoever, I love the guy, but I would say probably McCabe's is a little better than Benny's.
Okay, fair. That's fair.
Like with the amount of minutes he plays, with the defensive, like the amount of time and situations that he's put in where he needs to perform, and I can't think of very many times at all where I was like, oh, damn it, McCabe, why'd you do that?
Yeah, so McCabe's on his last year, and that's easily, like, he's making $4 million. That's easily like an $8.5 million defenseman that he's been playing. So,
well, and don't we only pay $2 million of it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I haven't heard if there's been any talks on it, but are we keeping McCabe? Like, can we afford to keep McCabe? Or is this a situation where it's, okay, now we take someone like a Simon Benoit and bump them up?
We re-signed him.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. Sorry, I just pulled up Puckpedia. We're terrible right now.
Sorry, Puckpedia. I'm still getting used to reading Puckpedia. That's the thing. It's like, it says his contract, but it doesn't say the next one.
So yeah, he's on $2 million right now, and then 4.5 for the next 3 years.
Next contract, 5 times 4.5. Yeah. Signed October. Yeah, duh. Sorry, Steph. I know you would have fucking roasted us.
To be completely honest, though, looking at all of our defensemen, the only one who did not give his value this year was Riley.
Yeah,
Like I know
that's what I mean.
we were all chirping Ekman Larson, but he's been well worth 3.5. We were all chirping the duration of the Tanev contract, but right now he's more than worth 4.5.
Yeah, they're definitely underpaying for the majority of their defensive core compared to what other teams are spending to get, one guy to come in and putting them out for 26 to 30 minutes every night. Like the fact that the Leafs are still keeping all the guys spread out at, 18 to 21 minutes. I don't know what it hit tonight, but here, I can just pull it up. I have it right here.
You know who really hates watching these games right now?
Who's that?
David Camp.
Oh. And Max Pacioretty.
Patches is just coming off an injury, though, but, Camp hasn't really been able to get too much going all year.
No, he's been... look, the fact that they put Marner and Matthews on the penalty kill so much more often really just took away a lot of Camp's, utility minutes. Like, that was kind of his role was... all right, we're going to have you here so that you play, 7 minutes of whatever fourth line or third line time plus a bunch of penalty kill minutes whenever that happens. And that'll be your bread and butter. But without that there, it's like the dollar value for having someone be a good defensive center when you have other people that are more effective. It's tough to make that choice.
Yeah. And he really didn't give them a choice to do anything else. Like Camp had kind of an off year, and every single time you put him in there, he never really did much.
No. Just looking at ice time here for defensemen. So obviously we went into overtime tonight, so it was a little longer. Benoit just under 20, 1956. Tanev just 20 and a half. McCabe was the lead at 24 minutes. Carlo at 18. Riley 21. Ekman Larson 22. So it's everybody is within a couple minutes of each other, and then McCabe playing the extra few minutes. So it's really even versus the Sens, who are trying to hide their bottom pair, playing them 11 and 12 minutes tonight. Nice.
Well, and like we said, that's been something that Berube was working on the last handful of games of the season, not even just with his defensemen, with everybody in general. Like even the forwards, okay, yeah, Marner played almost 24 minutes, but he gets a lot of penalty kill time. Most of the other ones were within a handful of minutes of each other, except for Robertson, who had 9.5. But if you take his 2-minute penalty away, then he's at the 11 mark, just like Lorentz and Yarncroke, right? Yeah. So he's been balancing it out really well.
Which is, again, something that, as much as I complained about it coming into the season, and I'll eat shit for that, but I didn't think they'd have the talent in the depth and the bottom six coming into the playoffs this year, just based on the talent and names, before watching the last 82 games. I didn't think it was going to be there, and especially bringing in Lawton and how he was playing coming into the playoffs. But, I mean, look, this year Holmberg's been great. McMahon's been lethal. Robertson's not quite there yet, but I think they've all figured out their roles and how to be effective against either more talented or less talented lines, regardless of the situation, instead of just being okay, well, you're going to play their bottom line. Like you said, Berube's kind of trained them all up and trust them in different situations based on where the puck is more than who the other line is.
Yeah, and I know we're not playing against the Oilers from the 80s here, but Berube doesn't care who's out there on the other side. Yeah, he wants to get a certain matchup. He's a matchup coach. He's trying to keep Matthews out there against the Kachuk line because he thinks that favors him. But at the end of the day, he's not going to care if he's got Lawton, Lorentz, and Yarncroke out there.
Yeah. If he has to move the puck out of the zone, he's going to throw them out, right?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. He knows that everybody knows what he expects of them, and they're going to go out and do it.
And what I've also noticed is, if they get it all the way down to the net and there's a whistle, but, they've only been out there for 15 seconds, even though he could put the first line out, if they've been, if they almost scored, they'll just stay out there. It's nice. let's get one in.
Yeah, he's rewarding everyone with that faith. Like, okay, you know what? You're not the superstar, but you battled your ass off. You got in there. Stay out there.
Oh yeah. Next game is on when?
Thursday.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's the one that I was looking at tickets for. So Thursday at 7 and then Saturday at 7 are the next two. Okay. I'm feeling good. I mean, 2-0. It's like I don't want to get false hope. I don't want to get too excited, but it's like I also want to enjoy the fact that we're up 2-0. You know, it's great.
For the first time in 20 some odd years.
Oh yeah, and I'm gonna go to work with another bunch of angry Sens fans tomorrow. It's sick. We had a big production meeting after the first game, like the morning after, and I was pretty tired. I'm not gonna lie, I was up editing and posting this last episode, but everybody, what did you think of the game? And you know, some of the more rational ones, like more like older middle-aged ones, asking like, "Hey, like, how do you think the Sens played?" And I gave my opinion, and other ones would walk in the room. I don't want to hear about it. That game was horse shit. This call sucked. That call sucked. I'm like, okay, let's go. People are fired up. This could be a fun month.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys on my beer league team that are Sens fans, and the group chat has gone awfully quiet over the last couple of days, whereas there was a lot of chirping going on beforehand.
Oh, I'm sure there was. I only have Habs fans in my friend group, so I'm just kind of hoping for them that it doesn't end too quickly if it does end in the first round, because look, they've been losing a lot to get here. They've been fighting for this. They've been just like the Sens trying to sprout a new team. So if we're going to knock the Sens out in the first round, I at least want Montreal to go on too.
Yeah, but the chances of that happening are pretty slim.
I know.
It's my close friends. I don't have any Sens fans or anything like that in the group. It's me as a Leaf fan. It's Moose as a Devils fan. Nate's a Canucks fan, and then Ian's a Colorado fan. So we got a whole little weird mixture there.
No shit, eh? Just around the league tonight, Panthers 6-2 over the Lightning in their first game. That I saw some of the highlights. My God, they looked like they looked like the first game of Leafs and Sens. Like the Lightning were just collapsed. Also, I'm looking. First period just ended in Wild and Golden Knights. It is 3-0 Minnesota.
Yeah, I've got that on right here. I don't know if you've caught my face a couple times, surprised at some of the goals, but
what is going on there?
Minnesota's not going away quietly. I picked them to beat the Knights in the series in our last episode there.
Yeah, Zuccarello, Foligno, Boldy, nice.
Foligno kind of mimicked his dad after he scored. He did the jump.
Oh, nice. 3 goals on 10 shots. Damn. Okay, well, I don't have any fun trivia for you to do tonight, but do you have any, like, this day in hockey history?
Yet again, not right now. With all the training and everything, I'm burning the candle at both ends, so I don't have anything crazy for you guys yet, but...
No, I get you. I will. I'll try to find another fun question to ask you guys on the next one on Thursday. But I also forgot to ask for questions on Twitter. That would have been a good idea. This is how out of practice I am.
I'll be missing the first probably period and a half, if not first 2 periods on Thursday, because we're going to be cutting a car apart. So.
Oh, what, for like training?
Yeah.
That's cool. Here, I do have an Ed's text. This is something we can close on. So my dad says in past years, the Leafs lose that game. And we've talked about this, but the difference this year seems like they don't give up when things start to fall apart as easily. Like, they're not getting frustrated. You know, in past years, if they were to up 2-0 from the majority of the game and all of a sudden it was 2-2 and they were heading to overtime, the camera would be panning across the bench with a sad Mitch Marner with his head down, like, I can't believe we're going to blow this. And, you know, guys yelling at each other and stuff. But it's not that team this year.
You know, and maybe we got to give more credit to Poppy. Like, no offense to Tavares whatsoever, but change of leadership can be a big thing. Like, that is not that it wasn't his team before, but there's no excuses now. He's the all-star. He's the face of the franchise. He's got the C on his jersey. And be it the coach, be it the captain change, like there's a clear change in the mentality of this team.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't necessarily agree that they lose this game every time in the last couple of years, but I don't think they're as confident in pulling a play like we described with Benoit and Domi. They're not going to have the confidence to try to pull something crazy like that off in overtime. Like it's just a different attitude towards staying in the game, and I think that's going to be a difference maker. And like I know I've taken on my fair share of bad takes that I've had to come back on, but like I mean, look, I said they weren't even going to make the playoffs, let alone get here. I had zero faith just in like August. This was before a couple of the signings. To be quite fair to myself, I think it was before Tanev was even signed. I said they weren't making the playoffs, but yeah, this is a different team. I got to give credit to Treliving for putting a very ragtag group together in the bottom six. Like not the people that anyone expected him to pick up. I don't even think it's the people he expected he was going to pick up. But he filled in a couple of the holes quite nicely and fixed a lot of problems within that, probably shouldn't have been fixed from within, but it worked.
But like, and I've commented on this before in years past. The Leafs teams that go far, the Leafs teams that a lot of fans romanticize, okay, they'll have had one or two really good players, borderline superstars, but the majority of them are workers. Like they're lunch pail guys. They're going to show up every game. They're going to do what they're supposed to do. And that's the type of player that Leaf fans love. Like Leaf fans love Domi. They love Roberts. They love Nieuwendyk. They love Stumpy. Yes, they love Sittler and Sundin and McDonald as well, but they want those guys that come in every single game, give it their all, and do it with a smile on their face.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's why my mom's favorite player is William Nylander. I mean, not that he's not a superstar, but it's the attitude more than it's the player, right? Somebody that's fun to watch is what gets this market going.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just glad that it seems like they're enjoying themselves this time around in the playoffs instead of it being like, no cameras, please. We're not talking about this. At the end of every game, it's a closed door meeting. And, what did can anyone read lips? What did this guy say to that guy on the bench? Who was crying? Who threw something? Like, man, the last few years have been nuts. And this time it's like, twice now we've had everybody rush the ice at the end and jump on someone because they won. Like they're having fun. Obviously winning is more fun than losing, but it's like you got to get there and it's a different attitude to get there.
Oh yeah, did you see Riley's face after that goal was scored on the bench when he jumped into Carlo's arms? Like,
oh yeah, it's not
just
like,
awesome.
They're not just like, oh, whatever, we're still losing this. One goal is not going to make a difference.
But there's still a very workmanlike attitude to the whole team though, and then little tiny things like they're not getting goaded into stupid penalties, but they're also not letting them, like they're not getting completely pushed around. Like the stupidest thing, but I find it absolutely hilarious, Matthews destroying Ridley Gregg's stick on the bench.
Oh my god. Also, speaking of Ridley Greig, we haven't even talked about him getting absolutely manhandled by Stolarz in front of the net. So
Stolarz pulling a Eddie Belfour there, and
full circle. Here's what I remember. This is the thing that Kelly Rudy said that made it like, this is why let me back up. He said something and my thought was, this is why they hired you, is to make comments from a professional goalie standpoint, not to say, oh, I once had to play in the NHL because I was hurt and they put me on a half game. No, it's to say things like, when they're asking, how did Stolarz get away with chopping and pushing at Grieg? And Elliot Friedman, who was not a professional NHL player, it's like, what happened here? What did the ref go over and say to him? And Rudy's like, well, like in that position, the ref comes over and says, like, You got your hits in from last night. You guys are even now. No more of this. And then it was the next hit when he came back that they said, okay, you're done. Whether I agree with this or not, it seems like from his experience, that is something that could have happened. There were the refs like, it's the playoffs, shot for shot. I know what happened last night. We let it slide. We'll let this slide, but like, cool it now. You guys are even.
Well, they do normally allow a lot of stuff to happen in front of the net.
That was a little more than they normally allow. That was like
the sticks, not
like, a punch
not
to the
really.
back of the head, the slash. I mean,
I've blockered a couple guys in the back of the head. There's nothing wrong with that.
That many in quick succession in that short of time will usually get.
To be
something.
Completely honest, I'm actually surprised. Like, part of me wonders why they called the interference the way they called it, because what the hell's Grieg doing skating through the crease? That's not his crease, right? I get it. You're supposed to let someone skate and not interfere with them, hence the call of the interference call. But the blue ice is the blue ice. That is Stolarz's ice.
Well,
the puck wasn't there.
We're not pretending Ridley Grieg didn't do this on purpose. He's being an agitator. Like, they have a thing going. He was trying to be a dick. He was trying to skate by him close and like bump shoulders with him. Unfortunately, Stolarz is huge, and he bounced off.
Stolarz is a giant of a man.
Like, I think he just miscalculated what that impact was going to be like, and he thought he was going to skate right through him and push him over or something. Like, honestly, yeah. Grieg has a reputation. He is like our, agitator light on the Sens. It's like he keeps trying, but we keep winning all the fights. So it doesn't really matter. Like, we've not completely, but for the most part, neutralized his antics. But yeah, to Rudy's point, I think that there was a line that was drawn. The ref came over and said something to him. You could see it. And then Grieg pushed it, and Stolarz, to your point, should it be interference when he's in his own crease? Probably not, but they were both warned about this, and then they both kept going with it. And they kind of had to make up what to call it to give them both a penalty for continuing after being warned to shut this down. Like, yeah, that's the way that I see it.
If they didn't call both of them, I would have been probably legitimately pissed off about it. But the fact that they called both just to kind of say, okay, you know what, you guys, it's done. Because how many times is a goalie behind the net and gets bowled over by a player, and it's like, oh, if you don't like it, stay in your crease.
Well, exactly.
He was in his fucking crease.
And Sen's Twitter explodes with like, oh, how does Grieg get called for getting slashed and punched in the back of the head? It's like, no, he gets called for skating through the crease and hitting the goalie. Like, that's what he got called for.
Yeah. And personally, I love it, though. I love seeing a goalie with a little bit of fire.
Oh, it's fantastic. I was loving watching that. Everybody loved watching that.
One of my favorite goaltenders growing up was Belfort, just for the sheer fact that not only was he going to absolutely stone you and stop everything, but he was going to put every square inch of that paddle into your thighs and into your shins if you're in front of his net.
Yeah, it's almost like, I mean, we saw them break up the potential goalie fight. It was like a month ago, but it's almost like this is the new violence that we're going to get from goalies, is just like pushing the boundaries in front of the net. And if Stolarz is going to be like the secret most violent Leaf, I'm so down. Like, if he's going to get away with this, next game there's going to be a little more. Like, I said, get away with it. He got called, but he didn't get called for, like you said, for absolutely bashing the shit of Grieg's legs and head.
But at the same time, Tavares and Giroux are battling for a puck. Whistle goes. They both kind of collide behind the net, and they're gliding out front. And as the camera starts to pan away, Giroux two hands Tavares in the back of the calf. Nothing called.
I didn't miss that one. All right, I didn't see that.
There's dirty stuff going on all over the ice, which whatever, it's playoffs. If you're going to do it, you're going to do it. I like seeing a little bit of fire, but you've got to be able to know, like, to pick your battles, to know when to do it and when not to. Like, I don't want Stolarz turning into the next Binnington.
Oh, yeah, no thanks. I don't want it going that route. I don't.
No.
He doesn't need to be a hothead and start swinging his stick at guys and throwing water bottles. But like, if it means defending his crease and not getting pushed around, like if that's what his reputation is going to be, is don't touch my crease or I'm going to break you. That's hilarious.
Yeah, being calculated about it. Like, I can think of one goalie off the top of my head who was a lunatic and actually it succeeded for them, and that was Ron Hextall. Like, aside from Hextall, most of the ones who were lunatics were really good goalies, but, they weren't going out trying to look to fight people. They were just, you stay the hell away from my crease because this is my area.
Yeah. Okay, we got a couple minutes left. Last thing is this puck over glass. So funny enough, I don't know what I did, whether it was when I rewound the game or if I changed channels, but I think it was on CTV or CBC or something. And when it switched to overtime, like it changed what was on TV. Like it passed whatever the broadcast time was before they had to go to the whatever Hudson and Rex or something. And so the last like 2 or 3 minutes of the game, I was like, this commercial break is really long. And then it came back and said like, viewer discretion is advised. I'm like, wait, what's going on? And then I changed the channel back and it was like the guys were walking off and overtime was next. I'm like, okay, I could have potentially just missed the end of the game. And I have no idea how that happened. So what happened? Because the last thing I saw was the break after they were looking at this puck over glass and whether it was going to be a penalty or not.
It was one of those that it went out so quick you couldn't really tell if it touched or not. It probably did. Like, I'm not trying to be biased either way. But clearly every Leaf was a referee at that point with their hands in the air. And
okay, so the point of the penalty is that you can't delay the game by doing that. Is the intent not there, though, like, in this case? Like, the point is that, like, they don't want you to do shit that's... It's like I was saying with the check to the shoulder that rides up and hits someone in the head. Like, okay, are you trying to stop people from shooting the puck into, the board or into the crowd? Like, or are you trying to get people to stopping the clock? Like, is it a safety thing? It's like the kicking motion. Is it the safety of shooting the puck into the crowd? Or is it, you're stopping the game? Because by the definition of what you're calling it, it's delay of game, puck over glass. The puck went over the glass because you shot it too high, trying to clear it out of your zone. It went out, and the game was delayed because of it, and you got the advantage that is trying to be stopped by the point of the penalty. Like, do you get what I'm saying? I know I sound like I'm crazy, but like the whole point of the penalty is to stop you from doing this, and they did it.
It's basically the modern day icing, right? Like, instead of icing it to get a whistle and get a break, you toss it into the crowd. Yeah. So now that's a penalty, you're just trying to get it off the glass and out. So you're still icing it, but it's, it's not going to be as quick. It's going to give you a little bit more of a break. That's essentially what it is. I don't think there's a big safety factor. Not that it's not dangerous having pucks go into the crowd, but I think it was more so they don't want guys just, dumping it into the crowd all the time.
So exactly, then what does it matter if it touched the glass or not before it went over, if it went over and delayed the game? Like, that's my point.
Because they were trying to bank it off the glass to get it down the ice.
But it went out and it delayed
Notice
the
my
game.
air quotes.
But this is what I mean, is what actually happened is what matters, not what was attempted. Like,
But if you want to get technical, in your case, you're going to start giving goalies delay a game for using their blocker to deflect it into the mesh.
It's funny you say that. In this game, that's the first time I've ever like kind of taken note of that as a strategy. I don't know why I've never thought of that before. I was like, oh shit.
Henrik Lundqvist used to talk about he would purposefully head the puck with his goalie mask. That way it ensured it would go out.
Yeah.
Because the angle from the puck going off your mask is almost always straight up and over.
What a lunatic. No, but like, I'm just saying the way that the rule's written is a little, I don't know. It not the way it's written, but like, again, the purpose of the rule is to stop you from doing that. The purpose
of challenging for the offside is because of Matt Duchene being 85 feet offside when he received a pass and it still counted, not this.
Well, it's because they treat the NHL
fraction of an
rulebook like
inch.
it's a constitution of a fucking country instead of a sport that they can actually just put the whole rulebook in the shredder and, like, you know, keep a couple pages and start some stuff over. Like, they don't need to keep amending things and having, like, Congress come together and vote and have a majority of, like, the 120 fucking people, the Order of Canada and, like, the U.S. development. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it seems like it is absolutely impossible to get something changed, like, in the NHL rulebook other than amending an old one. Like, I don't understand why they treat it like an ironclad fucking constitution.
The purists in hockey.
I don't know, man. This is why with the PWHL and all these other leagues, when they try rules out, hey, let's see how this works. I know they're obviously, you know, there's not as much of, like, the gambling and all that and the higher stakes involved, but the idea that the NHL could look at these other sports that are trying things out or other leagues that are trying things out and be like, oh, we should maybe adopt that because it works and makes the game more entertaining. Like, anyway, we're at 56 minutes and I'm starting a fucking hour-long conversation right now. So. And if anyone's listened to this show for the 4 years we've been going, this is like, you know, I come back to this every 8 or 9 episodes somehow. This is, you know, did you ever have in school where, like, no matter what thing you start talking about, it always comes back to World War II?
Not necessarily, but
Or like
there was a lot that, you know, came back to hockey. Surprise, surprise.
Well, okay, or that, or, like, you know, in math, you know, it always comes back to one thing. Like, there's always, like, something in school where, I don't know, this is my example at least. In my English class, no matter what book we were reading, somebody would ask a question about something, and somehow, no matter what the context of the question was, whatever the topic of the book, we always ended up, like, an hour later on World War II. Like, that was just, like, where the conversation went every single time. And that's
Have you seen the movie 23 with Jim Carrey?
I don't think so.
You should watch it. I think you would enjoy that.
Okay.
It basically, the whole premise is well, from what I remember, it has been a while. He basically is concerned because he's losing his mind, but everything in life, in his life specifically, comes back to the number 23.
Oh, okay, I got it. Gotcha.
It's like a drama / thriller.
Yeah, I feel like now that you mentioned it, I feel like I've seen, like, part of it on TV or something. Like, I feel like I've seen parts of this movie, but I don't know if I've seen the whole thing. It's one of those. But yeah, for me, it's whenever I'm talking about the NHL for too long, I end up back on something about, like, why is this game not... Why do they handle it, like, so badly and not make it more entertaining when they can? Oh, let's animate some games on Sportsnet Plus. Okay, well, when I was a kid, I liked watching hockey games. I didn't wish they were cartoons, but... Because then, like, just for our last 2 minutes before we hit our hour here, like, what happens when these kids grow up and don't want to watch the animated ones anymore? They're not going to recognize any of these players, and the game is going to be completely different. Like, they're just going to grow out of watching cartoon hockey. They might not switch over to real hockey. Like... Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think they've really worked out the investment and return on this, because I don't know if this is going to equate to more children watching hockey. Like, get them to watch the actual game. Like, they were on the right track with the next gen thing, but I don't know. The animated thing seems like it's going the wrong way.
Well, the next gen thing, and they need to be completely honest, they need to lower ticket prices.
Yes.
Get the kids in the games. Patrick has never been a super, super big hockey fan, but taking him to his first London Knights game, like, he was ecstatic. He could not stop moving around, like, just the atmosphere there, right? Like, that's what you need. You need to be at the game to experience the crowd going nuts over a good goal or a good play or something like that, right? Like,
oh yeah,
my 8-year-old, when we were at the Leafs Sens game, he stood up and was cheering when Scott Laughton started a fight. Like, he's not a violent kid whatsoever. He doesn't, like, you know, just because that was the crowd was getting into it. The crowd was, excited about what was happening.
Oh yeah, I mean like the 67s and PWHL Ottawa game that Emmeline and I went to, were like she doesn't watch a ton of hockey, but like those when you're there in person, it's just like you've watched 100 games and you're so into it, right? It's a completely different atmosphere. So yeah, I don't know. I think if you want to get kids into it, like more of these weekend afternoon games, more of like the outdoor stuff where there's more seats available than like the 14 to 16,000 in an arena. Like play more things where you can have 60,000 people and tickets are $40, so you don't have to charge so much for it. Like, those things will get more families and kids into this, and those people will grow up. Also, like more, it really comes down to, and this is a way longer point, but it comes down to like fixing Hockey Canada and having more funding at the, from different levels to help out families getting into this, because it's just become so expensive. Like the more, honestly, like the generations that grew up watching this are the ones that were also playing, right? And like everyone was playing everywhere, and now people aren't because it's just not accessible. So, if you want people to watch it, they got to be able to play it.
Sorry, Kaprizov just scored 4-0 Minnesota.
Oh my god. Anyway, let's skedoodle. We'll be back on Toys Day, maybe, probably, hopefully, with more of us, maybe. But yeah, send us some topics if you would like us to talk about anything on the next one, or if you have any trivia questions for us, because I forgot to ask for questions. My bad. Sorry. It's, oh my gosh, it's after midnight, so it's now Wednesday, which means the game is tomorrow. Oh my god. So, score prediction before I hit the outro?
For Thursday?
Yeah.
As much as I hate to say it, 3-1 Senators.
Yeah, I'm thinking the Sens probably take one too, but just to be the opposite and on the Leafs side for the next one, let's go Leafs absolutely figure it out. They've got a whole playbook now in the Sens. They've seen all they can do, and it's 4-2.
What? So
Wait.
You're saying Allmark's going to pull a Patrick Lalime and just start shitting the bed?
You mean like he has for most periods of playoff hockey he's played?
This is true.
They said he was averaging like 2 goals against per period coming into the second period of this game.
Now he's in a Sens game, though, or a Sens jersey, though, so it's Patrick Lalime all over again.
And not even just like, I know that sounds like I'm talking about 4 periods that he's played in the series, but like coming into this series too through like 6 other games, I think they said he was 2 goals a period average. Like,
yeah, he's like an 860 save percentage or something like that.
Yeah, he's the worst among active goalies in the playoffs. So, okay, bye.
Ciao.
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Leafs Late Night, your night of post-game podcast. Available after every game on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, and more.
Hi, Marty.